This is another iRaw podcast.
Have everything we need within us. We just need to get back to us. And once we really know that wisdom and live from that simple, true wisdom, everything gets restored.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Robin means new beginnings, and Robin Motzer is on a mission to explore peace, love, restoration, conservation, protecting nature, and ourselves. Robin is an artist, from pencil to oil to acrylic, and writer, essays and poetry. She does design, teaching, healing, and transcending trauma with restoring soils and souls. She believes healing the earth heals people. Robin, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Lauren. Glad to be here.
Tell me about Wildlands.
Wildlands is a culmination of decades of work I've done in the health and wellness and environment. I've worked a lot in advocacy. So I've just created Wildlands, which is on Substack, and I share poetry, essays, and art, along with action steps to help yourself and nature and more than humans, with a mission to reduce harm, increase self-love, and love of nature and all relations.
That sounds exactly like, not exactly like, but it sounds a lot like my mission here at Wild Developments. So if somebody subscribes to Wildlands, what can they expect?
Well, everything is a choice if you want to subscribe for free or if you want to donation of your choice, or there's a subscriber fee. It's $5 a month. And so there's different options on levels of support. It goes towards helping projects. I have a group called Sustainable Tucson Habitat Restoration. We do habitat restoration for native wildlife, and we also do community gardens. And it's also to inspire people to do their own restoration and conservation work, and they can do that at home or anywhere. And I actually travel the country. I work not only in Arizona, but I also work in Oklahoma and in Ohio. So my work is growing and it's really exciting, and I love it so much I'm willing to work for free. Because I just want to share. So I have so much information to share, and the feedback I get is phenomenal. I thank yous from around the world, people telling me that my knowledge is helping them heal trauma, and it's helping them live a healthier, happier life. And it's also helping them connect with nature and all of the divine beings within it. So there's a lot of great work happening. I'm really excited to share this work with you. Thanks again, Lauren, for having me as a guest.
I'm so glad that you're here. And I want to hear more about 2022 Sustainable Tucson Habitat Restoration and how gardening helps traumatized children.
Absolutely. So as we probably all know that there's a lot of benefits to gardening. There's a lot of research that's been done on this, and it helps improve health when we get our hands in the soils. The soils are full of nutrients. Soil is, and it's just a great way to remember who we are. We came from the soils, and we'll return to the soils. And it's a way to grow life and be a part of something greater than ourselves, because nature is miraculous, are all miracles, and the children are able to connect with not only growing something, it gives them a partnership, it gives them purpose, it gives them so much information that is not taught in schools and our society. It gives them quiet with nature so that they can go within, and it's really a great way to clear any trauma and confusion and loneliness.
I think that since the last time we talked, I started taking a community gardening class, and the woman that is in charge, she used to do gardening with prisoners. And she said that the change in their attitude and their mood, just getting their hands in the soil and watching something grow from a seed to something that they can then turn into salsa or, a food that they can share as a community. She said that that transformation was just absolutely amazing. Like, you could see her sparkle and radiate as she's telling people about the changes she was seeing in these prisoners. It was a really cool experience. And so, speaking of soil, you started restoring soil and souls. What was your inspiration behind this and the backstory?
I've always been a nature lover my whole life. I always believed that I was part of nature. I could communicate with nature, and nature could communicate with me. My earliest archetype was Mowgli of Jungle Book, and I really just felt like that's the way we should all be living, is connected with nature, and we're separated from it on so many levels. It's causing a lot of health problems and mental health problems, and really being someone who's very much aware of health and wellness and the connection with nature, the importance of all that. I have been plant-based for 35 years, and it has healed me from childhood allergies, asthma, bronchitis. I don't get any of those issues anymore, and I live a very, very simple life based on what's true. I've done decades of research. I am very, very active in several communities, and I've actually been asked to run for office even a few times, which I gratefully declined. I feel like my work is actually it is very political, and it does incorporate knowledge of and wisdom of laws and politics. Grandfather was a farmer and friends with the U.S. president, and my great aunt actually helped to raise and babysit the first daughter of a president. And another ancestor fought in the American Revolution. So food, farming, and freedom are infused in my life, and restoration conservation is a part of. My partner is a physicist and a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and he and I now own farmland that has been his family since 1902. And we have paperwork that's signed by a U.S. president around that time that said this Cherokee land, which we all know the trauma that the extirpation of the indigenous and all the wildlife, the buffalo, is horrific. It's something that we all need to make amends with. And that's exactly what my partner and I are doing. And the happy part of this is that my partner is a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. So the land is back in Cherokee hands, and we are restoring the land and a home. And we are planted hundreds and hundreds of trees for the wildlife and for food, and we're doing gardens regeneratively. It's going to be one of the most beautiful sanctuaries for wildlife and for people and nature. And we hope one day that it will be a park for perpetuity, because Sean and I don't have children. Our children are all the beings that we are teaching and guiding, and we really want to have our legacy be this park, and it'll be a historical park for indigenous, the Cherokee, but also the history of farming, and farmers really built this country. And we need to get back to healthy ways of farming and gardening, because the soils have so much nutrients and they have to be nurtured in a regenerative way, because that's been done for millennia. And the modern ways of poisoning the soil is really about consumerism, and it gets people sick and into the pharmaceuticals and all of the industries that sell these chemicals. We really need to go back to what we know about what's true, and that's really, a simple regenerative lifestyle.
I find that so fascinating, and it seems so overwhelming. Like I want to start a garden in my own yard, and I have to look up local regulations with the township and the neighborhood, and it feels so ridiculous. We should be able to grow our own food on our own land. How do we go back to reclaiming the land that, everybody should have access to?
I agree so much with your statement, Lauren. That's my work. Restoring Soils and Souls is all about that. It's all about taking our power back, our authority. We're in charge. We don't need people to tell us how to tend to our land, our soil, our health, our bodies, our minds. It's just gotten way out of control. So I'm bringing that all back to the people and reminding them that you are in charge. So take charge, do what you know is right, Lauren, and do it without poisoning and without doing, and everybody benefits. And think about the food chain. I mean, just quite simply, if we're poisoning the land, that poisons all the beneficial insects, all the beneficial birds that eat those insects, and it just goes on up the food chain. That's insane.
And it poisons our water, which then just enters everything back into the whole cycle. I mean, we need to get back in touch with nature and living naturally. So what do you have a simple step that somebody can start today in restoring their soil?
Absolutely. Step one, don't use any chemicals. And let your soil regenerate naturally by planting native plants, herbs, any flowers, that are native. All of that works symbiotically to restore the soils. And when you have healthy soils, moisture is retained naturally. So one of the things I tell people is when you poison the soil, you're drying it out, and it creates a need for more water. And this message is so important all over, especially in the deserts, because what's happening is, a billion pounds of pesticides and herbicides and rodenticides are used annually. And this is documented. And I wrote about it in one of my essays. I provided the link to show. It's actually, I think, through the Ohio Department of Resources that that link was shared, I think, through their work of documenting the amount of chemicals that are used. And so, drying out the soil is death to the soil. And then it creates, erosion, it blows away, and we need to water more. It's just not the way to go. And we have proof that it doesn't work. I mean, look at the Dust Bowl. That's because nature was being destroyed. Farms were being destroyed. And then the soil just blew away. It was lifeless. So we cannot repeat that. I mean, we're so needed, each one of us, and I write about this. Each one of us is a piece of the piece. And it's our responsibility to know right action. And when we love ourselves, we do not want to do harm because that goes against our nature. So what we're taught is to buy this product, take this pill, this person, this organization, this politician will help you. And that's just really, we have everything we need within us. We just need to get back to us. And once we really know that wisdom and live from that simple, true wisdom, everything gets restored. And I'm living proof. I have overcome a lot of trauma, and I walk my talk, and I'm not kidding, I love what I do. So if anyone wants guidance, just reach out to me. I am happy to help.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, you can tell just listening to you how passionate you are about it. And, we all want to be cured from physical impairments, and we want to be healthy. We want to live more connected lives. Why do you think that higher powers that be are poisoning our land and essentially poisoning us? We see the end of the road. It's not going to be pretty. Why are we still on this, like, basically a bullet train towards destruction? Why do you think that is?
I know why that is. Again, I've done a lot of advocacy. I was asked to run for office. What happens, Lauren, is that politicians, corporations, military, big pharma, they all work together to create regulatory agencies that regulate and allow harm. So that's why we have to take our power back. We have to be our own authority, and we can't just keep standing up to all these errors in judgment that are made by these people who just want to control and make money, power over everybody, so that they can continue control, power, and money for themselves. And it's just a beast that wants to grow and grow and grow until we say no.
Yeah, that's just it. We're just going to have to take our power back. And
that's my work. That is all about my work, man. Read Wildlands, robinmotzer.substack.com. I go into all of this. I've been writing about it for a year. And again, it's based on decades of my work.
We'll be right back. It is hot out, but fall is just around the corner. Why not plan your next New England fall foliage trip with April at yourphototravelguide.com. October 13th through the 19th, 2024, whether you've never used a camera before or you just use your cell phone, you will have plenty of opportunities to capture some of your own postcard-worthy photographs on this tour. Let someone else do the driving so you can experience the most out of fall. This is a low-impact experience, so it is good for those who prefer not to do long hikes or if you simply want to relax. We embrace all the fall feels, tasting maple syrup, smelling the fresh baked breads, and hearing the crunch of the leaves and seeing the light dance on the trees. And for those who prefer to do it themselves for ultimate flexibility, my friend April also crafts personalized itineraries. See selfdrivenewengland.com. Link is in the show notes. Now back to the show. Stay wild. So you already said what your legacy is. You want to leave your park behind. What can you tell us some more about the park, like how big it is, and what are some, if somebody goes to visit the park, what are some things that they can expect to do there?
Well, it's not a park yet. We're still restoring the land and the home. I designed the remodel. It was designed by me, and I have also a background into the design build. I'm very much into natural building materials and organic design. So that really is all about connecting the building with the land. So it's like an indoor outdoor lifestyle. and using natural building material possible. And one day it'll be a park. So what we hope to have will be organic regenerative gardens and places to reflect and, walk. And we'd like to have a pond for the wildlife and free organic food and herbs, and one day hopefully a sanctuary for the wild that can't be released. I used to work for a wildlife center. We did rescues, and we did restoration, rehab, and then we would return them back to the wild if they could be returned back to the wild. But sadly, a lot of them can't. Well-meaning people might take a baby chick out of the wild and think that they need, help or something, and then they've lost all of their natural way of being. They lost their mothers and fathers teach them how to be wild. So anyway, there's a lot of education that goes into all of it, and so that's what we hope to have in our park one day.
That sounds beautiful, and I can't wait to see where you guys go with that. Are you keeping updates? Are you doing fundraisers? What are your plans to get there?
Well, that's a development, because I really don't want to go the nonprofit route. I've worked with a lot of nonprofits, and I really, right now, the work is starting with Wildlands on Substack, robinmotzer.substack.com, because it's a way to get the word out, and then people can support that work on Substack. And then as things progress, we'll have fundraisers, and we'll figure out ways that people can help. Another way people can support the work is through Sustainable Tucson Habitat Restoration.org, and a lot of projects that we're doing so around the country. So there's ways that people can get involved, either financially or if they want to volunteer for a project. They just need to really reach out and let me know what they'd like to do to help.
So, and you have work in Ohio too, right?
Yeah, I was born and raised Southern Ohio, in the Great Miami Valley area, so of Hamilton, Ohio, and I'm very proud of all of the restoration and of the historic buildings and the waters. They're helping clean up, different areas and create more parks, and it's all really exciting what's happening there. So I look forward to doing a lot more there, and I'll be there at the end of April.
Oh, okay, great. So, because I'm located in Ohio, and I think a lot of my listeners currently are in Ohio, so would they be able to reach out to you and help out and volunteer?
Absolutely. My email is rmotzerdesigns@comcast.net.
Perfect. And I'll put a link to your Substack and your email so people can hop on and get a hold of you and start making some changes to restore soil and souls. And you're also an artist too, right?
That's right. And I'm working on the road right now, so there's no artwork behind me of mine. I love your Lauren. It's absolutely beautiful, and all those blue ribbons really are spectacular.
Oh, thank you. So what is your favorite subject to draw or paint?
I like to draw and paint animals and forests. So I was recently in an art show called Pieces of Me through the Women's Art Club of Hamilton, and it was a dual gallery show. It was a great success, and it was at the Strauss Gallery and at the Fitton Center. And I also have poems at the Oxford Community Center right now through April 4th.
That's fantastic. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Where can people view your artwork? Is that on Substack too?
Yeah, right now everything's on Substack. It just is easy because I work on the road, and it lets me showcase everything right there on one platform.
How do you go about traveling and doing your artwork? Because I'm currently trying to put in for a couple artist in residencies, and I'm like, how am I going to pack all my stuff and keep it safe? So what do you have any tips or tricks for that?
Well, it's pretty much just trial and error for me, but what I guess works is that, well, so that's why I went back to drawing with a pencil. So, my show, the pieces of me artwork are actually my pencil drawings of animals. And, pencil and paper are the purest form of art. So why not do that on the road? And then I do acrylics and oils too. Have kind of a small, like, little toolbox that I haul everything around in, and then just grab canvases around wherever I am.
Cool. Do you find that people gravitate towards one particular painting of yours or a theme?
Yeah, yes, I think animals obviously are something that people really connect with and love. So I've got a lot of portraits of animals, and the singular comment I get the most is that they can see the souls in their eyes. And because I seem to capture that in my drawings. And that is important to me because souls, the eyes are the windows to the soul.
You got your restoring soils and souls, so that totally makes sense. That the eye is absolutely my favorite part to paint on anything, and I don't think people realize all the intricate details with the reflections and then also adding in the shadow and everything that really helps to bring it to life.
Absolutely.
So do you have a favorite experience in nature?
Well, I have several spans decades. I just across the board, my favorite thing is connecting with the wild. I mean, wildlife, I can tell wildlife love humans. They're very curious about us. They just want us to behave a little more kindly and with more respect to them. I've witnessed, gosh, some of my favorite beings are insects because they work so hard and work as a team, and they're just I was this is kind of a funny story in a way, but and I was playing pickleball the other day. I just picked that up and as a way to be outside, and it's a great exercise, way to exercise and socialize. So unfortunately, there are like ants like to come on the courts. And so I try to watch my step. I don't want to hurt any beings. And I noticed that an ant had been stepped on. And I saw another ant come to that ant who clearly was deceased. And they circled that ant. And they circled a couple times, and they would go ant, and they were clearly acknowledging the ant, and that the ant needed their help. This ant picked up the deceased ant, and was carrying him off the court. And I thought, people need to stop and watch these, observe, because you can learn so much from nature. And these beings are sentient. They have intelligence. They have families. They have jobs and purposes to do. All these things I cover in Wildlands on Substack. And it's really these fine details that we really need and respect, and say, hey, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
Don't poison them, don't step on them, don't they they need us to protect them and conserve them and restore them just as much as we need them, if not more.
Yeah. And I think if we all get off of these cell phones, I think that and we're more present and taking that time, like you said, to observe such a small being, that we will learn so much. And when we take the time out to observe and learn, we're going to fall in love with them and we're going to want to protect them.
That's the whole reason for my work, Lauren. And I don't even own a smartphone. I don't like what they do to people. I don't like what it's doing to our freedom. I don't like what it's doing to our minds, our spirits. I don't like it. So I don't have one. And that's the way we change the world. We don't comply. We don't support these things, and we don't purchase them. I don't on. I don't like, no. So I support local small businesses, and I support those who do no harm.
Very good. And let me see. Do you have a favorite animal?
Well, I'd say I love them all. I seem to be drawn to cats, all kinds of cats. So wild cats, bobcats, mountain lions, jaguars, house cats.
I love asking that question because I feel like you can learn a lot about a person by their favorite animal and what they like in that animal. What is it about cats that you find fascinating?
They're independent, they're smart, they know how to take care of themselves in any situation. I just think they're loving, sensitive, empathic, beautiful beings. I just love everything about them.
Perfect. Well, you've told us where people can find you, and so I will make sure that we put that in the show notes so people can find you. And before we go, what is one tip that you have for someone who would like to connect with nature?
Take a walk in nature and connect with something out there, like a rock or water or a tree or a forest or an animal, and tell them that you're letting go of your inner conflicts and your fears, and leave it behind in nature and restore that peace and being and independence within yourself.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing all of your information, and keep up your important work. I can't wait to hear how far you go. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, Lauren. And people can read some of my other connection with wildlife. I've written about my connections with fish, dolphins, hawks, birds, a bear, intuitive and psychic. I do healing work for animals as well as people. And I do a lot of sharing on my publication.
Great. Thank you so much. And until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.
For more great iRaw podcasts, visit irawpod.com. That's IROARPOD.com.